And now, from Studio 215 in Low Country, South Carolina, you're listening to IFAN Sports Talk Radio. Here's your host, Nikki Fu.
Welcome everybody to the High Wire. This is your host Nikki Fu. We are back, episode 7, and it is getting close to NFL football time. I cannot wait, everybody, and it is 23 days to kick off. I got 2 weeks to my fantasy football draft, and oh my God, I haven't even started studying yet. I am ready to get cracking here. We are going to do episodes for every position in my fantasy football league, and I am going to start out with the defenses first, and who is your number one defense out there? So we will see. But my fantasy league guys, my league, they are just a bunch of whining little bitching guys, and I tell you, man, every year they want to change something, add this, add that. Nobody's ever happy. Nobody's ever happy about the payouts. One guy, we have a poll right now. We want to do, if you have over 3 transactions a week, they want to add a $2 fee per transaction. They want more money. Some guys can't afford more money. It's just this and that. It's the year of bitching, folks. Fantasy football. It is back, and are you ready for your draft? I am not. That is why we are going to start with defenses. And after this episode of the High Wire, our next episode will be on kickers. And we'll go right down the line to tight ends, wide receivers, running backs, and quarterbacks. So today we're talking about defenses, and I'm going to start right off the bat with my number 10 defense in the fantasy football this year, and that will be an up-and-coming team with a very young secondary, a new defensive boss in Dean Pease, formerly of the Ravens, and players like Derek Morgan, Brian Orakpo, and rookie Harold Landry will team up with a solid run defense with linebacker Rashard Evans. That is your Tennessee Titans. I am projecting them at number 10. I'm looking them to have maybe like 16 interceptions this year, maybe 5 defensive TDs, and 40 sacks, with a projected fantasy points of 173. Going on to number 9, I got the Denver Broncos. Sort of disappeared off the radar last year with the season they had, but they still have a solid defense and playmakers like Von Miller and Chris Harris and rookie Bradley Chubb. They lost cornerback Alik Talib to the Rams, but Chubb should dramatically help this defense in 2019. I am looking at the projections for the Broncos. I got them at 173 points also with the Titans, but I got them slightly a little bit more higher than them. I'm looking around, say 42 sacks for the year, 16 interceptions, 5 TDs, sort of similar stats to the Titans, but Broncos at number 9. Number 8 is the Chicago Bears. The Bears an underrated defense for years, and with the addition of playmaker Roquan Smith And they had they hung on a defensive play caller, Vince Fangio. They are going to be a solid D this year. I got them projected at 177 points, looking at 12 interceptions, 3 defensive touchdowns. They're not a crazy team, but they're going to probably hit it with a lot of defensive fumbles. I got them for 17 and 48 sacks. Moving to number 7, you have the Baltimore Ravens. And, of course, the Ravens, Suggs still on the team. They have a new defensive coordinator in Don Martindale. They have a deep, talented secondary. Their pass rush isn't even that bad, like I said, with Suggs. And they have second-year linebacker on the opposite end, Matt Jundon. Their schedule isn't even that tough, aside with their showdowns with the Steelers. I have them projected at 181 points. And look at them, have them around 39 sacks, 15 defensive fumble recoveries, and 19 interceptions. So, moving along, you got the Carolina Panthers with starters like Latui, Kurt Coleman, and Charles Johnson, all gone, with only Durante Poe adequately replacing one of them. Pass rusher Julius Peppers and linebacker Luke Kuechly, Tom Davis. I'm looking at 12 interceptions, 4 defensive TDs, 16 defensive fumble recoveries, and projecting them at 183 fantasy points. And number 5, we are going to go with Packers. Projected points, 184. The Packers defense added big lineman Muhammad Wilkerson, drafted a pair of rookie cornerbacks in the early rounds, and they are going to be a fast defense this year. I got it projected at 184 points, like I said, ranked at number 5. I'm looking at them having a lot of sacks, around 48 sacks, 15 DFRs, and a 12 INTs. Moving along, a lot of you might disagree on me on this, but I got the Steelers at number 4, projected at 187 points, about 3 points higher than the Packers. And, of course, they lost Shea Leave, Ryan Shazier. He says he wants to come back, but, from what you're seeing, he's not going to come back. God bless him. He's a fighter. Hopefully the Steelers find some, place for him in the organization. But they shouldn't take too much of a step back without him. They still have the D-line of Cameron Hayward and Stephon Tuitt. Some promising young talent behind them includes Bud Dupree and T.J. Watt. Their secondary is getting better. You should see a solid third year from Artie Burns, and what a come-out year from Mike Hilton last year. This team had 56 sacks last year and 16 interceptions, so the expectations will be high on the Steelers. I have them down for 49 sacks this year, 69 Ts, 1 defensive fumble recovery. They're not, they're not a big team that forces fumbles. They're more of a, hey, get the quarterback, let him throw early, get that INT. Steelers at number 4. And then we're going up to our top 3. And you all probably guess who's in my top 3, but except for one team, and that team is at number 3, and that is the San Diego Chargers. They finished number 6 last year as a fantasy option, and that unit will look to build off that performance this season. They had 43 sacks, and they were also tied for 6th in interceptions with 18. And they have a great secondary with Casey Hayward and now rookie Derwin James. They could be a number 1 fantasy option in all leagues this year. It's worth drafting them in maybe a mid to mid-late round, and that's usually where defenses start to go in a 16, 17 round draft. I got them at 46 sacks, 14 defensive fumble recoveries, and 16 INTs. Projected points, fantasy points at 187. Number 2 will be the Los Angeles Rams. Now with Ndamukong Suh, Marcus Peters, and Malik Tavib this offseason, That trio should enhance that defense that already had an elite player in Aaron Donald, which I heard he's coming close to a contract extension too. While they lost Alec Ogletree and Tremaine Johnson, yes, it will hurt. I don't really see them taking a step back. I see them this year with 52 sacks, 15 INTs, 13 on the DFR side, 194 projected points. That is your LA Rams at number 2. And the number 1 defense, everybody knows it, breakout year last year, the Jacksonville Jaguars. Boy, did they stick it to a lot of teams last year, I'll tell you that. Though their defense didn't really look that great in the divisional round against the Steelers, but their team pulled it out. They gave up 45 points, but you know what? Their team scored more than 45 points to beat the Steelers. I give them that. So, Jacksonville, number 1. Don't really need to talk much about them. You know what they're all about. They're fast. They're physical. They'll hit you. They'll cover you. I'm looking at 18 INTs, 5 defensive touchdowns, around 52 sacks. So watch out for the Jacksonville Jaguars. If that offense can get going with Leonard Fournette and Bortles, they could be contender for the Super Bowl this year. So those are my thoughts on defensive special teams fantasy football. This is the High Wire episode 7. High Wire episode 8 will air later today, and we will review the top 10 kickers in fantasy football draft. This is your host, Nicky Fu. I thank you all for joining us. Well, sorry we were off the air for a little while. I was over there in Oahu, Hawaii. What a great trip with the family. It's good to be back. We're getting closer to football season. You're going to see more episodes of the Live in 5 show in the High Wire. And, of course, Friday Night Lines will be every Friday night breaking down the lines of the big college football games for Saturday night. And we also are going to do a Saturday night show for the lines for the NFL games, too. I thank you all. This is your host, Nicky Fu, IFAN Sports Talk Radio. We will see all you folks down the road.
Every time I look at you, you always look so beautiful. Driving on the road again, the Chevy's packed and it is dust. And I will take some photographs so I can dream of you. Oh, can't say I felt such twisting in my heart this way. We pitch a tent and have one sleeping bag, just stay away. A fire's burning, softly singing songs